welcome to Super Veil Sews. My name's Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. Long time no see. I really did not intend to leave such a massive gap between videos, and I am really sorry for being missing in action. It has been crazy hectic. Things are sort of calming down now, and I'm starting to feel a bit more like myself again. Whereas I had like at least a month where I just was working all the time, and when I wasn't physically working, I was sat on my laptop prepping stuff for this event I was planning, and I just was like not capable of sewing much. I did sew a couple of things related to this project, but they were all like quite speedy, so yeah, I just did not have the time to sort of record any of it as I went. So sorry for disappearing. I knew it had gotten bad because I got an email from YouTube being like, hey, you haven't posted in a while. Do you want to come do this course about how to find motivation for your channel? And I was like, oh gosh, if they're nagging me, then I really need to get on it. So I thought I'd come on today and talk to you about what I did sew. So anyone who follows me on Instagram or may have seen my last couple of videos, I was organising this big fundraising event for this community choir I run, which is is for the Princess Alice Hospice. So there are a lot of bereaved people or people who have worked at the hospice, things like that. And it's really I'm self-employed and freelance, so I do all sorts of jobs, and it's really one of the favourite parts of my week. I just love doing it. Anyway, it's the 10th year, and we're trying to raise £10,000 for the hospice. And normally we just do a Christmas concert and a summer concert, but I had the bright idea of putting in an extra event involving other people performing as well, as a way to get a big boost of cash into our fundraising efforts. And so it involved my adult choir, my girls choir, a load of my professional singing friends, and my amazing friend John, who's a brilliant pianist who I used to work with when I was at uni. We were sort of a duo at uni. And yeah, it was brilliant in the end. It sold out. Everyone performed amazingly. The audience were lovely. Yeah, it was just great. Really, really good. And I felt really pleased with how it went. We're going to find out how much money we raised on Monday, I think, because they have sort of ticket sales and then the bar and then the buckets and things, so it takes them a little while to get to the final amount, but that went really well. Anyway, I decided to make a couple of dresses. Initially, I was just going to make one dress, and there was a point when I suddenly said, I think I'm going to do a dress change, because we'd been talking, myself and the other singers have been talking about changing in the interval, and Nathan was like, are you crazy? You're so stressed. Like, why would you give yourself something else to do? But there's something, I think, in sewing where it felt like, oh, I'm doing something productive for the concert, but it's just like a different part of my brain. I could just sort of switch off and just get on with it. And I think I just needed that at that point because I was so sort of burnt out. So I made two lovely dresses. So this is a tale of two dresses. So the first one I made had a couple of different bits of inspo. So I'd basically been eyeing up the top layer of the fabric for ages on Fabric Godmother, but it was way out of my budget for the amount I would need for like a gown. And then I was invited by Fabric Godmother to do a collaboration with them, which was the Gingham Marnie dress that I made last year. And from that I got a voucher, and that suddenly made that purple fabric much more affordable for me. So I then, knowing that money was going to come in, this was a little bit risky, I saw on Rainbow Fabric that they had a satin fabric in like a light purple, and I thought, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to get it, and then hopefully I can then get the sparkly fabric eventually, which I did. It took a while for it to come around because I think I was asked by Fabric Godmother in November, and it was posted, oh no, I might have even been asked in October, just when I got back from honeymoon, and it was posted in mid-December, I think. So there was like a bit of turnaround time. But yes, so I ordered that. I had the lining fabric, and it's not a colour that I would usually go for. Like, I don't wear a lot of pastel colours. But I'd found a picture of me in a costume. If I can find it, I'll put it here. When I was at music college, which was like a light purple. And I thought, oh, you know what? I look banging in that. And I'd also been watching a lot of Bridgerton. And in season 3, although I feel like the costumes, they grate on me a bit, because I think a lot of people said about the 3rd season that it became very modern. So there was a lot of like sequin fabrics and things like false nails and just things that sort of broke the illusion a bit. So there were some dresses which I didn't feel really fit into the show, but that I really liked as dresses that I would wear. And I feel like Penelope Featherington, she wore some really nice sort of sparkly purples, blues, this season, and I was a bit inspired by that. Anyway, so I bought all this fabric, and then I was trying to work out what to make, and I settled on my absolute fave, the Cinnamon Daisy Willow dress. So I use the bodice and sleeves, and then I normally just put on my own gathered skirt, based on how much fabric I have and what the width of it is and things. So the main difference I make when I make it into an evening gown, so like the velvet one I made at Christmas, is that I line the bodice rather than binding it, and I cut the back piece in a single piece rather than having the centre back seam. And yeah, I find that works for me. It comes together really quickly as well. So I was really pleased with how that went. And then I wanted double-sided ribbon. I liked the idea of the velvet against the sparkliness. And I couldn't find double-sided velvet ribbon in a shade that I wanted. So instead, I ordered a big roll of single-sided velvet ribbon, and I stitched it back to back. Just because that way, when you tie a bow, you don't get the underside poking through. So I did that. And then for the skirt, I did for the underdress, the satin was like a little more narrow. So I did 3 panels on the underskirt. And then I did 3 panels on the top skirt. And then I did 4 panels on the tier at the bottom of the top skirt. Because that was like all the fabric I had left. So I used up every little bit of that fabric that I bought. And I ended up with this beautiful dress. So I'm really pleased with this, because it was like a bit outside my comfort zone, but I actually felt really lovely in it. And it was sort of nice to be wearing something that was so ultra feminine. Like, I don't dress like in that super girly feminine aesthetic, and it was sort of nice to just be like a fairy princess. The downside, the fabric is beautiful and soft. I believe it's a dead stock fabric. It leaves glitter everywhere. Like, there is not a place in my life that is not touched by glitter. Like, the sewing room full of glitter, my car full of glitter, our whole house full of glitter, my parents' house full of glitter, like the dog covered in glitter. There's glitter everywhere. So, and on stage I performed glitter. Literally, I left a trail of glitter everywhere I walked. I had an anxiety dream the night after the concert that the church were going to call up and be like, we're finding you for glitter. So yeah, it was messy. They did, I think I might have got the last of the purple, but they did have one in, I think it was called Buttercup or something, which was like a yellowy colour, but it looks sort of more gold. It's hard to tell how that would look in person, but I think it would probably be more like gold, or depend on maybe the layer you put underneath as to what sort of colour comes through there. But no, the fabric is beautiful, and the dress I felt amazing in. My girls I teach, who were in the choir, were all coming up to me and going, oh, you look like a princess. Obviously they used to sing me in school just in like work clothes, so with a full face of slap and like my gown on, they were going, you look like a princess, Mrs. Squashy, you look like a princess, which I thought was really sweet. So that was my first dress. Now, I got this finished quite early, and I was like, I'm done, sorted. And then these discussions of a second dress came up, and I sort of felt like I maybe wanted something that I could move in a bit more, in terms of like length and volume, because of one of the songs we were doing was a duet with my friend, and it involved a lot of moving around and interacting and joking, and I didn't want to have to be picking my skirts up. And I had this amazing fabric from a website called Tianite Fabrics. Knight with a K at the start. And I purchased from them before when I made my polka dot Upton dress on my honeymoon. So I'll put a picture of that one here as well. And they basically have a really good selection of sparkly, spangly fabrics at a really good price. Normally embellished fabrics are super expensive. And obviously, like, I understand why, but when I'm trying to make something with a lot of fabric, it just becomes unaffordable. And so I had a look, and they had so many good ones. I wanted something that was sort of Art Deco, and I wanted something in a colour palette that I was a bit more comfortable in. And I think sort of black, it's sort of black and rose gold actually, but black and gold, black and rose gold. I was between this fabric I ended up with, and they had another one which is more like a lighter mesh with gold on. So it was like more like a skin tone mesh with gold on. Also with an Art Deco pattern, like a more simple one than what I ended up with. But I went for the black, and I am really chuffed with how this dress turned out. So for lining, I bought the lining from Fabricland in Kingston. I find they're just really good for basics. And again, the prices are really good, and I happen to be in Kingston, so I could just go and get it and be on my way. And for this, I decided to use the bodice and sleeves from the Fabric Gone by the Peony dress. It was fun putting this together because of the pattern. I had to really think about placement. I had to think about making it symmetrical, so there's a zip at the back of the peony bodice. And just really making sure that I thought about what I wanted where. So the fabric has a sort of border sequin print that's much more dense sequins, and then through the length of the fabric it has a sequin sort of zigzag of different sort of sizes, so they get sort of further apart as you go further up the fabric. And then on the other sort of selvage edge they have the same pattern, the more dense sequin pattern. So I decided I wanted a lot of sequins around my face, because I always think it sort of lifts you having all the sparkle around the top, but I also wanted to have it on the hem, because I just love a jazzy hem. What can I say? In order to do that, I had to cut the skirt. In fact, I think I ended up cutting pretty much everything on the cross grain, because that was the only way to get the pattern how I wanted it. I then did my own gathered skirt. If you've watched my videos before, I've made the peony a few times now, and my original peony dress I didn't love, because I just felt like the skirt looked sort of boxy on me. I just didn't feel as good in it as I wanted to. In fact, I might even find that version of it. I might take the skirt off and try and buy some more of the fabric and make it with a gathered skirt, because I love the idea of the dress, but I just didn't feel great in it. And then I made another version with a gathered skirt, which I loved and I felt awesome in. I find the fit for the Fabric Gone by the Peony good on me. I've heard sort of mixed things from the plus size community, so it's just worth. I toiled the bodice, I did a full bust adjustment, but that was it. And I do feel like I get a good basic fit. For me, it's probably like alongside the Upton dress, they're sort of my two favourite more fitted bodices that I can use for things. It has darts at the shoulders and at the waist. It's got this fun technique in the puff of the sleeves to create like a bigger puff, which I think is really nice. It's got nice little flutters on the end of the sleeves as well. Yeah, lots of nice features, and I just find for me it's a good fit. There's a style arc pattern that is a similar silhouette as well, and I know like some people love the style arc block, so I think it's just working out what works best for you. But I find the peony like a really good fit. And it's interesting because when I made Fleur, which is another Fabric Gone by the pattern, I found the bodice was less of a good fit on me, and that was to do with the length of the bodice and like where. And I think when I looked back at some of the pictures of plus size models, it looks like shorter in the bodice. To me, when I look at the plus size models, it looks like the waist is hitting at a higher point on them than it is on the straight size models, which I guess is because of bust. Like, I think it's probably actually not been changed, but because of like I've got a large bust, and so that takes some of the It just like pulls the waistline up higher. So I really liked the fleur, but I think I'd have to do, if I made it again, I'd have to do more adjustments. Whereas for this one, I feel like the peony is a pattern I'm now really happy with using. And again, I managed to sew it up really quickly. In my mind, it's a very complex pattern, but I actually managed to bring it together in like 2 sessions, basically. So yes, anyway, here's a picture of that dress. This one, I sort of thought the purple one was going to be more of the favourite because it was less, to me, it felt like a bigger step away from what I've worn before. But I think this one was the showstopper in the end, because it's just super blingy. And I feel like the shape, I felt really good in the shape. And I'm sort of trying to think, like, what opportunity could I have to wear this next? So yeah, so that is all the sewing I've done since I last spoke to you. I'm trying to not overcommit to things now. I just actually want to do some sewing for fun. That being said, I have one commitment left at the moment, which is to sew for the Stitch Festival, which is in 2 weeks, so I need to go and move on. And this is another lovely fabric godmother pattern. I've mentioned this before. It is the Aspen dress, and I've been asked, I was approached by Fabric Godmother to take part in the catwalk, I think it's the Instagram Makers Catwalk on the Saturday at the Stitch Festival. I have never been on a Saturday. It sounds like it's crazy. I normally go on a Sunday. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm going with my friend, and I think we'll do like a recce. I'll do the catwalk show. We might pop out for lunch and just have a minute and then go back in and shop till we drop. So yeah, so that's the next thing I'm going to be sewing. But then after that, I'm going to just take some time to think, what do I actually want to be making? I haven't really been buying fabric, partly because we're just on a bit of a budget at the moment. We have to renegotiate our mortgage soon, and I had to pay my tax bill and things like that. So we've just sort of I've really reined in my spending, and I have so much nice fabric, honestly. So it's not an official ban. I keep an eye on sort of what's happening, but because I've had so little time to sew, I sort of haven't been feeling drawn towards buying because I just feel like I haven't got time to sew what I've already got. So yeah, so I'm hoping, I know I always say this, things will be a lot quieter for me now for the next few weeks. Work is always quite busy in term time, but compared to how it was, it's going to be loads better. It's also my birthday this week. And then, as I said, we have the Stitch Festival, and I'm hoping to get lots of little bits and bobs sewed up. It's then the Easter holidays, so yeah, lots of things happening. So I do apologise, as I said. I mean, you probably are like, I didn't even notice, which is absolutely fine also. But one of my New Year's resolutions was to be more consistent with my channel, and so I feel like having over a month off isn't great. But it would have just caused so much stress at the time that I had to just be like, I need to let that thing go until this event is out of the way, and then I can return and speak to lovely people again. So yes, my apologies for being inconsistent, but I'm back, baby, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Let me know what you've been working on. Have you made much sort of special occasion wear? I've been roped in now for my mum's, it's her 70th birthday next year, and she was sort of helping me with like looking at my dresses that I made, and she was helping me getting it out of them to take some pictures and things. And I suddenly thought, oh, well, for your 70th birthday, why don't I make you a dress as your present? Because I never really know what to get her. And she loved that idea. And then she sent me this crazy picture of the Cinderella dress from the Cinderella live action film, which I said I'm not making. But yeah, so that will be a fun project for next year. Her birthday's in June next year, so I have plenty of time to work that out and try and get some inspo. So yeah, I feel like I quite enjoy sewing a bit of occasion wear, fun spangly fabric. I feel like you get full appreciation of it, whereas sometimes when you make more basic things, they just go under the radar, even though you wear them every day and they're the real workhorses, you know? But there you go. Anyway, I rabble on. I'm gonna go. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you again soon, I promise. Right.